Now to try to keep the positivity train rolling, choo-choo. Uh, Surprising things have come out of CES, or the Consumer Electronics Show. Some of these things you may be saying, well, what's the purpose? In some cases, not a lot, but a lot more than what we've had in the past. And I feel like I can't keep just illustrating the areas with which we need to fix without talking about the ways and places where we're doing good. So I'm not just here to be with a rolled up newspaper like bad, bad America, bad world, bad society. Though part of me is doing that. The rest of me is struggling at times to find a reason to care about the plight of humanity when it doesn't seem to care about the plight of 90% of itself. So, putting that away, let's go into the first link. Excited me for two reasons. The first is that Audi and Lexus are showing off their self-driving cars. Something that I've seen Google playing around with, which they mention. And it's not just Google. There's several companies actually in the works for self-driving automated cars. This way, you wouldn't need necessarily a license to drive a car. Obviously, you'd have to have an authorization lock because you don't want little Susie getting in the automated car and asking it to drive to her Xbox Live boyfriend 3 towns over, who, by the way, happens to be a child molester. Lovely how that works, right? Although sometimes they are what they advertise, but, you know, young love is never that level-headed. To be young and in love again. But what is actually shown in the video more than anything is actually retrofitting kits that it seems that you could put onto the cars that, while not automating your cars like the Audi and Lexus types are supposed to do, or are showing promise of being able to do. I know he mentions that some of the self-driving cars, most of the ones demonstrated, only go 5 miles an hour, but I've seen one taking a rally track that was sure as heck not 5 miles an hour. But I digress. We're doing baby steps, and I don't mind the baby steps so long as we're taking steps at all. And if we can retrofit a lot of the cars that are out here today, it means that we can retroactively make cars a lot safer. And we need this. I'm so sick of people not using their freaking turn signals and then honking at me like I'm the a-hole when they're trying to merge into exactly the same spot that I am in. Or people who I'm practically having to slam on the brakes and praying that the people behind me don't hit me because they're deciding to merge right into me. Or I can't tell that they're turning, and oh God, I mean, right where I'm at, it's literally illegal for you to not use your turn signals. Is it enforced? Of course it's not. Or at least not enough that people get it, but let's face it, we're in a day and age where people have to be told not to be looking at something that, texting-wise, that is about the size of their thumb area that they're focused on while driving at high speeds. We need automated cars because people are working in automatic as it is, and they have a driver's license that says they can legally do so. But, okay, I would love cars that you can drive or you can choose to let drive for you. I would love to arrive at my destination and be in a line of other cars that are all communicating with each other, all saying, hey, I'm here, I'm a solid object, I'm going to move over there. And then our car to say, okay, car, I've got your information. Thanks for telling me that. I'm going to slow down a little, give you some breathing room, and let you go on in there. Thank you for using your turn signal, by the way. And have the other car go, yeah, no problem. You know, laws are laws. Then there's Lynx 2 and Lynx 3. 2 is a Mondo spider that looks like something out of a movie prop house, which is why I like it, because it looks like it's an actual working, doing thing. Some might say, well, what's the purpose of this? Well, granted, in its current state, you'd have to create houses that could accommodate such things, but if you don't have the use of your legs, may not even have the use of your arms, and we already have seen where we can patch into brain waves and create a movable robot here. This is the next step of making somebody completely mobile who's not normally mobile, as well as improving different areas such as terrain, terrain movement. For, I would imagine this has some military applications, but it probably could even have search and rescue applications. These robot legs aren't going to get tired. The robot legs aren't going to need fuel to keep, well, food and drink to keep them going. They might need fuel, but again, you know, they get charged, they go out there, they're not emitting things that are toxic to the environment. They're not, getting stuck somewhere, things of this nature. And the bigger one, the what they call the prosthesis, which is called the anti-robot. I don't know why they call it that, but I guess it's because it has no central intelligence. It's a framework that you work, like Ripley works in the movie Aliens with Power Loader, which was ironically one of their inspirations. Not 100% sure of the applications of these, but it still is progress in areas that are pushing us ever further closer to a Type 1 civilization. And anything that does that, like the Mars reality TV show or Virgin Galactic, are good things. Things worth celebrating, especially if they work. Lastly, some of you have been hearing for years, maybe not on my channels, but certainly from me in conversations, that virtual reality never went anywhere. That when I was doing testing at the Ames Research Center over in California, I actually tested out 2 types of headsets. And I'm like, I always liked virtual reality. Whatever happened to that? And he was talking about how the helmets that we all knew and hated from the 80s were weighty, so they were pushing down on your neck, and they were giving people cricks in their necks, and so that was one of the main problems. You can't be immersed in an environment if your neck is killing you. And I agree. I absolutely agree. But I loved virtual reality. I miss it. Especially the cockpits and shit that I got to fly in at this place called the Magic Edge Center, which had a virtual flight simulator for up to, I think, 6 or 8 people. That was really cool, and I really liked that. But I've also gotten to try the, glasses and glove kind of thing, and yeah, it was bad, but it had potential, just not the potential that Oculus actually has. Oculus is basically the next level in virtual reality. When you look down in a video game, you're looking down at whatever textures and stuff is at your feet. When you look up, you can even turn around and look, and the main thing they said that was the problem is the latency with it, which I'm sure that they can conquer. They're sending out dev kits. This thing's not likely to be out, but see, what they did is the weight and all the machinery is right here. It's not pushing down on your head, and it's probably not even pushing that much on your face, because what they did is they took the centralized weight and put it right here, but they also shrunk and took advantage of these technologies. Now, John Carmack was the one who was working on these kinds of headsets for Doom, BFG edition. And now with this, it's going to take us into some of the newer worlds of gaming, and could even be used, as you see in the demo, they're using Skyrim. At least I think it's Skyrim. It looks like some of the villages I've been to in Skyrim, but I digress. This is maybe not world-changing, but it's at least a step forward. It's one of many baby steps towards a totally immersive game room made out of your room, a la the movie Gamer. minus, of course, the human avatars angle of things, although I still think that's an interesting idea in and of itself, if everything is consensual and everything is cool. But I digress. Point is, a lot of this stuff is a huge leap. Granted, this has been the process of decades worth of work, like with the self-driving cars. But to see people getting into the entrepreneurship angle of things, creating exoskeletal things that could eventually be the very thing that is saving lives, doing the heavy lifting, going to places that we cannot normally go, and just basically starting to build and create a better world, a better place for us, where some of the factors of society no longer exist, and we edge closer to that utopian-esque Star Trek society. Although if Wrath of Khan has taught us anything, it's that the future isn't always utopian, as we might like to make it out to be. But still, very, very interesting developments. This makes me very happy to see this sort of stuff coming about. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about these. Links to the videos are down in the underbar, and I'm sure there's even more interesting technologies that I have not covered because I had not seen those videos yet. But this is worth sharing. This is worth celebrating. This is baby steps towards a bigger, better, brighter future.